In the heart of Okochi, a small quiet village nestled between two rivers, stood a towering bamboo tree. Its thick, naked branches reached out like the ancient arm, casting a long shadow over the village square. The trees had lived there generations, a silent witness to lives, secrets, and stories of the villagers. It was where the elders held council, where children played beneath its shade, and where lovers whispered sweet promises in cool nights. But there was one story about the Bobo tree that few dared to speak of openly. A story shrouded in sorrow, mystery about a widow named Nneka and the secret she buried beneath its roots. Nneka had been one of the most beautiful women in Okochi. Her beauty was matched only by the kind heart, and when she married Obinna, the village's most skilled fisherman, the entire village celebrated their union. Together, they were the envy of many. Obinna's strong arms brought the best catches, and Nneka's gentle hand weaved baskets and tended to their mother's home. They had a son, Chika, a bright boy full of energy and promise. Life was good, and their love seemed unbreakable. But fate had other plans. One fateful morning, Obinna went out to the river as he had done countless times before, casting his net into calm waters. The sun had barely risen when he left, promising to bring home enough fish to feast for days. But as the sun began to set, Obinna's canoe was found adrift, overturned with no sign of him. The villagers searched for days, combing the river banks and sending divers into the murky depths, but Obinna was never found. He had vanished without a trace. The grief that followed was unbearable. Nneka, once vibrant and full of life, became a shadow of herself. Her once bright eyes dulled, and her laughter, the one sound of the village, faded into silence. She withdrew from the world, speaking only when necessary, and her son, Chike, too young to understand the full weight of loss, grew up without the warmth of his mother's love. The villagers, though sympathetic, began to notice something strange about Nneka. In the years following Obinna's disappearance, she would often be seen wandering the village at odd hours, always near the bobo tree. Sometimes she would sit under its wide branches, staring into the distance as if waiting for someone who would never return. Other times she was spotted pacing around the tree in the dead night, her hands clutching something tightly to her chest. Strange whispers started to circulate about Nneka, whispers that grew louder as time went on. The strangest event of all came one night during the dry season, at a time when the village was at its most vulnerable. The heat was oppressive, as many found it difficult to sleep. It was one of such restless nights that a group of children playing near the baobab tree under the full moon heard a faint sound, a rhythmic tapping, like someone digging the earth. Curiosity got them, and they had crept closer, staying hidden among the bushes. What they saw sent chills down their spine. Nneka was kneeling at the base of the baobab tree, digging frantically with her bare hands. Her face, usually calm and composed, was twisted in glimmers of desperation. The children watched wide open as she pulled a small object wrapped in clothes from the basket and placed it into the shadow hole she had dug. She buried it quickly, soothing the dirt over its trembling hands before whispering something under her breath and walking towards the hut. The children fled, their hearts pounding in their chests, too scared to say anything until morning. When they finally spoke of what they had seen, the village buzzed with rumors. What had Nneka buried beneath the baobab tree? Someone said it was charm, others whispered that it was an offering to the spirit in exchange of Obinna's safe return. But a few, those who were more suspicious of the widow, began to suspect that there is something more sinister was at play. For days, villagers debated what to do. Some of the braver men considered digging up the spot to see what lay beneath the earth, but others warned against disturbing the tree, which was believed to be sacred. The Bible had stood for centuries, and tampering with it might bring curse upon the village. In the end, fear of the unknown kept them from acting, and the whispers continued growing louder from each passing day. Then one afternoon, Chike returned at the village. He had left Okocha shortly after his father's disappearance, sent away to live with a relative in a distant village. Now a young, tall, strong man like his father, Chike had come to village to confront the unsettling rumors he had heard about his mother. When Chike arrived, the village welcomed him warmly, but there was an ease in the air. The villagers had grown accustomed to the mystery surrounding Nneka, but Chike's return brought everything to the surface. After hearing the full extent of the rumor, Chike confronted his mother. He demanded to know the truth about what happened to his father and why she had been acting so strangely all these years, but Nneka refused to speak. Her face, once soft with maternal love, had hardened like stone. "There are some things better left buried, my son," she said, her voice hollow and distant. Chike, not satisfied, he had spent too many years wondering about his father's fate, too many nights haunted by dreams of the man he barely remembered. That night, while the village slept, Chike made his way to the bamboo tree with a spade in his hand, his heart pounding in his chest, like he was determined to uncover the truth, no matter what it might cost him. As he began to dig, the earth felt heavy and reluctant, as if resisting his efforts. Chike was strong, and after some time his spade struck something solid. He knelt down and, unearthing a small wooden box, old, worn with time, it was locked, but the lock had rusted over the years, and it didn't take much effort to open it. Inside the box, Chike found stacks of letters, yellowed with age, bound with wine. His hand shook as he carefully unfolded the first letter and began to read. This letter was addressed to Nneka, but it was not from his father. It was from a man named Ozocha, a name Chike had never heard before. As he read the words, his stomach twisted in knots. The letter spoke of a secret love affair, one that had taken place long before Nneka had married Obinna. Ezocha had been Nneka's first love, a man she had planned to run away with, leaving Okocha behind. But something had happened, something that had driven them apart. The letters became more desperate, with Ezocha begging Nneka to meet him at the riverbank one last time, on the very night that Obinna had disappeared. Chike's blood ran cold, his hand trembling, as he reached for the last letter, dated the night of his father's disappearance. It was short and hastily written. Ezocha had confronted Obinna at the river, intending to reveal his love for Nneka, but the confrontation had turned violent, and in the heat of argument, Obinna had fallen into the river and drowned. Ezocha had fled in panic, leaving Nneka to deal with the aftermath. Consumed by guilt and fear, Nneka had buried the letters, hoping to bury the secret of her involvement in Obinna's death forever. Tears filled Chike's eyes as the truth sank in. His mother had not only kept a terrible secret from him, but had also been complicit in his father's death. The weight of the knowledge was unbearable. The next morning, Chike confronted Nneka one last time. The letters clutched in his hand. "Why?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you let me grow up without knowing the truth?" Nneka, her face pale and haunted, could not meet his eyes. "I was a coward, Chike," she whispered. "I thought I could hide the truth, bury it beneath the earth, but it followed me. I have lived every day with the weight of my sin." The villagers who learned the truth. Nneka became an outcast. The once beloved widow was now shunned, her reputation destroyed by the secret she had kept for so long. The bamboo tree, once a symbol of strength and wisdom, now stood as a silent reminder of the darkness that had festered beneath its root. Nneka lived out her remaining days in isolation, haunted by the ghost of her past, while Chike, unable to stay in the village that held so much pain, left Okocha for good. But the story of Nneka's secrets remained, passed down from generation to generation, a cautionary tale about dangers of burying the truth and the price one must pay when it finally comes to light.